Yes, thank you very much, Stephen. Do stay with us as we have further updates from, of course, our top story of the hour. We have Taiwanese Foreign Minister Chia-lung saying that Taiwan was confident in its relations with the United States. The Taiwanese Foreign Minister made these remarks ahead of the high-level meeting between the US and Chinese presidents, where the issue of the island Beijing claims as its own may have come up. Since taking office this year, US President Donald Trump has vacillated on his position towards Taiwan while pursuing a trade deal with Beijing. Trump says Chinese President Xi Jinping has told him that he will not invade while the Republican president is in office. But Trump has yet to approve any new US arms sales to Taipei. Okay, we of course are discussing the top story of the hour, the meeting between Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Now, this meeting concluded after 1 hour and 40 minutes with trade at the top of the agenda. However, national security, of course, there as well. Now joining us is Ross Feingold. He is a political analyst and he joins us live from Taipei in Taiwan. Ross, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, from the Taiwanese capital, we've just read out the Taiwanese foreign minister's statement. He said that he was confident in its relations with the United States and that he was confident that Donald Trump was going to bring up the issue and, of course, the threat of a possible Chinese invasion of Taiwan. How do you think that this issue would have gone down with Xi Jinping when raised by US President Donald Trump, when they were face to face?
Well, of course, we don't know who actually raised it. I think the more common assumption is that Xi Jinping and the Chinese side would take the initiative to raise this rather than the US side, especially given President Trump's focus on trade issues and rather than focusing on a number of other issues that typically come up in US-China relations. So normally in these meetings, regardless of who the US president is, one would expect Xi Jinping to reiterate China's position that Taiwan is part of China and that other countries, especially the United States, shouldn't interfere in relations between China and Taiwan, including with regard to weapons sales or other things that the U.S. does to show its support for Taiwan that makes China unhappy or even angry. So often these conversations tend to follow a standard script with the U.S. side saying we haven't changed our policy towards Taiwan. We maintain our one China policy, but we're still going to have unofficial relations with Taiwan, including weapons sales. As far as the reaction from the Taiwan government, which you mentioned, of course they're going to have to say something positive. They're not going to say that we're worried about what Xi Jinping or Donald Trump will say about us. And of course they're going to say we expect or we hope the United States will continue to support us. So it's understandable that the Taiwan government is going to put a very positive spin and reiterate that there's no changes to U.S. support for Taiwan.
Yes, and of course, Ross, we saw, as we've said previously, a trade framework agreed earlier this week, and we also saw, but what we did see today was, of course, the United States resume nuclear testing. This was in response to the Chinese doing something of the same. Donald Trump also gave South Korea approval to build a nuclear-powered submarine. Does this signal, could security in the Indo-Pacific have been where tensions arose here, particularly given the time frame?
The interesting thing there is that despite the happy faces and the handshakes and agreements on trade, we know inevitably that the U.S. and China are going to clash over what we could broadly call political issues, things outside the trade space, although in recent times these things overlap and they can't be separated. But there's an arms race in the region. We know that. Japan is going to significantly increase its defense spending under new prime minister. It has already been increasing it in recent years and will continue to do so now. The South Korea president, although he talks about rapprochement with North Korea, he also seems committed to increase defense spending as well, most notably, as you mentioned, with this potential arrangement with the U.S. to acquire nuclear technology for submarines. Australia is increasing its defense spending. The U.S. has significantly increased its defense budget for 2026. A lot of that money will be spent in the Indo-Pacific. And now we have President Trump talking about U.S. nuclear weapons, which frankly, a lot of experts have been calling for the U.S. to significantly increase its investments in the nuclear weapons capabilities because some of the technology, some of the weapons themselves, the facilities, they haven't gotten the modernization that they actually really do need in recent decades. So there's been an underinvestment in that space. And I'm sure President Trump has been briefed about that repeatedly by both civilian as well as military officials. The timing of the announcement is certainly interesting, and obviously that was meant to kind of put some pressure on China going into the meeting. But this would have happened anyway under President Trump.
Okay, Ross Feingold, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you on the program, as always. Now, Chinese President Xi